Hello, everybody. This is Sandra Pelly, the Sandini Inner Dragon. Uh, what? I'm the keeper of the Inner Dragon Flame, as well as the Galactic Shaman and the Dragon Ally. This is my beautiful friend and guest speaker, Al Danais. He is a spiritual mentor and healer with over 20 years of experience supporting seekers through the internal shifts that lead to growth and expansion. He helps individuals move beyond barriers to embrace an abundance mindset and integrate the manifestation techniques needed to create a life of peace, joy, and total alignment with their soul's highest calling. And before you take the floor, Alan, I just really wanted to say too that I did his gift in the gift giveaway the other day, and the peace that came over me was just really, really beautiful. I felt very, very connected with myself. Also, too, it's just really been fascinating to watch the different things come up in his world that are in such total alignment with my world as well. Al, how are you today?
I'm very well. I had a lovely day. I it's evening for me or getting later, but uh I I'm moving. So we've been like moving and we're just getting ready. And this is part of, I guess, letting go and going to Vietnam next for a while. But
Wow.
yeah.
That's so funny that I felt drawn to sing that. Good morning,
Good
Vietnam, then.
morning, Vietnam.
Wow.
I'll have to see where he was. I'm going to Da Nang, but I don't know where he was when he in the movie, right? Yeah. Oh, I just got
Yeah.
I don't get the goosebumps often, but I got it right now. Interesting. And I do agree with what you're saying. I think that the group of people who are joining what you're doing, there's a lot of things in sync. And maybe that's because I'm coming more in sync with myself and resonating um in a way that is connecting more with different nervous systems. That's what I'm going to be talking about today, right? So I will go. This is not a I'm not planning to make it a lecture. I don't want a lecture. I want to just say how I got to this point and why I'm talking about uh, aligning your nervous system for abundance, if that's okay. So I think I'll
Yeah.
start off. I should probably say a little bit about myself, so people um, who've never seen me or heard me before. I'm from Canada. I live in Winnipeg, and my life is quite interesting. When I started 20 years ago, it was very, dark night of the soul. So, like, it was not a fun time. And my guides used to say, the beatings will continue until you have learned a lesson. So I learned fast. And as fast as I could, and it never felt very quick at times. But a lot of lessons, a lot of lessons, a lot of lessons, and some of the lessons I learned them, I implemented them, and that is what is happening for me for abundance. So the reason I have the term spiritual abundance coach was one of my mentors was saying, are you the spiritual abundance coach? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And he's like, own it, own it. I think I told you that last time. He was like, own it. And I'm like, all right. So that's what I don't want to yell, but that's what so spiritual abundance coach it works for me. It's kind of an umbrella for healing. It's kind of an umbrella and I'll say that because spiritual abundance is different than abundance. Abundance is what I can gather, but spiritual abundance is what I can gather and what I connect to that helps me gather even more. Now, they both start off at one end and depending on your ability to connect higher and heal, it's more spiritual abundance. That's what I call it. So I always try to show people how I get that highest transmission. So I'll be going through that today. I will say more of that at the end because I have to talk about things before that kind of line it up. Okay. Um, so spiritual abundance, the way we get it is like a form of currency, a spiritual currency, I call it. And, I don't know what the other gurus are saying. If I listen to gurus, I hear some of the stuff they say, and some of the stuff I'm like, okay, yeah, but that's just a part of it. And I don't know if that's just for like if you join a program, they end up telling you more, but um, which I assume they do. But I always hear like on the internet of the kind of call it the finish line part. I don't know, I just did this and it worked. And that's like and everybody's like, how did you do that? Right? And it's not, I'm not telling you the finish line, I'm telling you the progression. All right. Um, so for example, I said abundance was like spiritual currency. So one when I was in Winnipeg and I was working in the States and I came back to Winnipeg, and things are going really wrong with the dark night of the soul. I was working for a place. I had been working for $100,000 a year. Now I'm working for $11 an hour, and uh, it was for a place where you were consultants. Like it was just like hired. They'd hire you for the day or things like that. And I was working at a place where the people who were working with me were kind of turning against me because it was every person for themselves. And I'd been there for a while, and I didn't want to engage in that. But the less I engaged in it, the more problems I had, and I was getting lonely. After doing it for a few weeks, I got lonely, and this woman walked in. Everybody was gone on the break, and this woman walked in. She had uh, a plate of cookies. And she said, "Oh, where did everybody go?" And I said, "They're gone on a break." She goes, "Would you like a cookie?" And I said, "Yes,
I love this.
thank you." That was my abundance in the time of releasing uh my loneliness. So there's a lot. Spiritual abundance is not just money. It is a way to exchange. Spiritual currency is what you have in the bank from a relationship perspective. So if I go and I work with someone, or oh, I'll just say it like this. Here's another example. I want to give examples of this because I went. It's important to understand where I'm coming from. I wanted tickets, so about the same time, I wanted tickets to the band, and I forget what they're called, but they say I would walk 500 miles. It's I think they're I really loved that song and I wanted to go see it, and I didn't have much money, and I went to the bar where they were playing that night, and I walked in and I asked the lady, I said, "Can I get tickets to this?" And she said, "No, they're sold out." I said, "They're completely gone. Are there better tickets? Like, expensive tickets?" She goes, "No, they're all gone." And I asked another question, and I didn't want to annoy her too much. So I said, "Okay." And I left and I went to my vehicle, and then I came back and I parked in front of the bar. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm not leaving. I am not leaving. And then, like, within, I don't know, it was 5 minutes, some guy came out and he knocked on my window, and he's a little bit upset, but he said, "How many tickets do you want?" And I said, "For what?" And he's like, "Well, for tonight. How many tickets do you want?" And I said, "I don't know. How much are they?" He goes, "They're free." And I said, "Well, two." I said, "I'll get four." And then he started threatening me. "If you sell them, I'm going to do this to you." And I'm like, "I'm not going to sell them." So then that was abundance, right? That is another form of abundance. And that was new to me, but that happens a lot now. And I'm going to explain why it happens more often uh, as I keep going. So that was the cookie one I said. Yeah, go ahead.
I just give me 1 second here. Okay, I really want to just kind of bring everybody in a full circle here right now because you're
Yeah.
saying a lot, and I want to make sure that everybody is really, really caught up in this because Al mentioned that a lot of people just say, boom, this is what I got this, right? And but they don't give any trajectory pathways at all. They just this is
Yeah.
how I do it, They don't give that leading in. So I really wanted to highlight some of these things. First of all, one of the most important things that he did was he really paid attention to the lessons that were happening. He recognized that something was happening. He was gifted, or he spoke of a name for himself and was told to claim it and claimed it. That was super powerful. That is part of that trajectory, part of that path. He also really recognized that he was in a world of resistance, that more engagement in that world of resistance caused more problems. He also recognized that abundance came in more forms than money. And in that, he had a change in abundance awareness. So now, please do continue with why it happens. I believe that's where you were headed.
Sure. Okay. So as I go through this, so it's kind of making sure the nervous system is ready to has capacity to uh, receive and hold on to the abundance that is coming your way. If it doesn't have the capacity, then you cannot have the abundance that's yours. So I'm going to go through. I'll give some examples of that. Then I'm going to talk about your universe, our own universe, and how that impacts us. So if we're stuck, no matter what the reason is, if we cannot do something, the nervous system is like one of the last lines of defense. If we're healers, you're working third eye, crown, all this stuff, then you have to integrate it, and then it has to be embodied. And when you embody it, your nervous system does it. But if you don't embody it, then we're working with fight and flight, and our mind is like um, on the lookout for to make sure we're protected, right? So you probably heard this before, but it's very important that the whole part of this is shifting from the protection mode, because the nervous system will become a guard dog, even though you might not notice it, but it is, and it's making sure that you don't go in a situation where you got hurt before. So it's going to keep you exactly where you are. And if you are able to, through transmission and different ways to heal that, and I'll talk more about that, then I'm sorry I'm going into a lot of, I feel like I was like, do I do this? Yes, I do it. So um, we want to shift from the fight flight, the guard dog part of it, to the luminous gardener.
I love that.
I thought you would. I don't know if I'm going to keep using that one, but I'm like, okay, Sandra will like that one. So that's the growth and expansion phase. And uh, the nervous system is the proclaimers, yeah. Yeah. The nervous system, for most people, has capacity to handle things like I'll say bad news. So if we're watching the news of the war, we keep expanding our nervous system so we can accept more of that. And that's pretty crappy feeling. So instead of that, it's expanding it for abundance. And abundance is um, our own abundance I'm looking at. I'm looking at, so if we are, I'm trying to keep this as basic as possible. Um, I will just start with something else. I'll say your universe. Your universe is something like I have my universe, for example. I create my universe so that I feel safe. And my nervous system manages my universe. If I have something that's a wound, it'll push it away and it'll hold it there. And if it doesn't know where to put that energy, it'll start stuffing it in my organs and I'll get sick and this and that. If I heal my universe that I create, and we do that with the light language and all the things, you know, um, inner dragon, all those things we're talking about, we're working on our universe. When we heal that, we drop out of fight, flight, and then we connect more with the universe, and we can reap in uh, the abundance from, um, I guess, more of a reach. So there's our own universe, and I'll say, in terms of nervous system, here's how I look at nervous system. And I'm going to give examples because it's like the more that in your head, the more you realize you're doing it or it's happening, and you can let go of that energy. So I'll look at it this way. If someone is, let's say, a child, and they're saying they are not ready for grade five, they are not ready for grade five. It could be because they don't get along with people. It could be because they don't think as quickly or they think differently, right? But what's happening is the child, according to whoever's assessing the child, recognizes the child does not have capacity to go to the next one. Okay. And so that's just one example. Another example is so I wrote some here. Oh yeah. Me driving in Thailand. Sometimes it's left, you're driving on the left side of the road, but once in a while I jump on the right side until my mind's like, whoa. Or sometimes my mind is my girlfriend saying, hey, go that side. Doesn't happen very often, but I didn't like that because um, it's dangerous. And as I get older, like I've in England, that happened once too, briefly, like just for a few seconds. I'm like, I'd rather not do that. But my nervous system now is better. It's switched over. One day, so I'll just say, like one day I was driving the motorbike, and they're not like huge motorbikes. It's not like Canada, and she's behind me, and she was saying park, like she's sitting behind me and she's going park, 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 and she's tapping me. So I pull over and I stop, and she said, "Why you stopped?" And I said, "With her English is she's not okay, but we don't a lot of things we don't know why." And I said, she said, "Why you stop?" And I said, "You said to stop." She said, "No." And okay, I start going. And then she said, park, park again. And I'm driving. I pull over because I don't want to start talking. And she said, why are you stopping? I said, you said the park. And she points, she goes, no, the park, park, park. So she's telling me where the park is. And so it's valid what she was saying, but a lot of times I don't know, like the words are different, their sentences are different, their nervous system is set up differently, they were immersed differently. So and then so that gets pretty complex, I would say. It's forcing me um to deal with my insecurities because I got someone here who's not going to cater to them because they don't even know what they are, or me, or vice versa. Right. So I'm really dealing with a lot of that. So it's a good thing. It just doesn't feel good as I go through it. That's another example of nervous system. So the nervous system, uh, when that comes up, you can just talk to your nervous system, go nervous system, you can let that go. Are you doing that? You can let that go. And I just let go of so many arguments that way that would have happened. All right. So I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. I'm going quickly, but I'm opening it up for questions after, right? Like you can ask your questions as I go, but I talk briefly about our universe. I talk a little bit about nervous system, and I talked about also um, about the protection mode that we're in, this fight flight, and shifting it. So as healers, as spiritual seekers, we're shifting it to the growth and expansion. I noticed that after a while, um, and I'll just say, like, again, I don't want to say that just the finish line, right? That's what we were talking about. I spent over probably 10,000 hours just healing myself, just myself, over like over 20, maybe 25 years. At first, I didn't start with healing. I didn't know anything about healing. I was just doing like this psychology stuff, but then it progressed. So, um, it's a lengthy journey, yes, but
Mine was 16 years. Like when like you talked about the Dark Knight, mine was a 16-year Dark Knight. So I get it.
yeah, that's probably about the same. Not as not as like a few years were very intense, right? But then it was still dogging me for a while till I shifted to my guides. But yeah, that's there you go. It's not just it's not just one night. Uh all right. So here's what I want to talk about. I talk about gates, spiritual gates. Uh you mentioned Jasper yesterday, that you connect with Jasper. So I'm going to tell a story um about spiritual gates, and I'm going to go in detail about something that maybe some people won't care about, or some people go like, why is he saying this? Well, this is my life, okay? This is the stuff I go through. Um, but our gates, so we have spiritual gates that we either go up or go down. So if someone is hurting someone, if someone is hurting someone, they have to resolve that before they can climb back up first. It has to be resolved with that person. And so we're doing a lot of that in our life. Um, but to go upward, what is needed to go upward, and how do you do that? And and I would say in the places I've been in the world, Jasper, I don't know if I maybe was there as a child. I've been to Banff, Lake Louise a few times, Sedona, Stonehenge, uh, in Japan or in Thailand and India, but I there are places that the energy is very strong for me. So what I'm mentioning is I'm not telling people go do my path. I am telling people uh this is how I learned about gates. As I was saying, I got someone's like, get on with it. Okay, so here we go. I went over 2 years ago to Mount Kurama, and that is in just outside of Kyoto, or actually at the edge of Kyoto, close to Osaka in Japan. And that is where Yusui had his uh 21 day not well, it's a fast, but it's a meditation, and then he got his Reiki energy. Um I wanted to go, I had to kill some time before I would go to my yoga class in Thailand. So I went to Japan because I did not need a visa. And that's where I decided to go. If I'm going to Japan, I'm going to do something spiritual that I want. So I found a hotel not too far from the mountain. And every second or third day for a 3 week period, I would go up that mountain. So as soon as I got there, um, in 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 Kyoto, I met a person, and she was acting as my guide. So she took me up the mountain, and the first I only went up to part of the mountain with her, and I saw like a past life thing with her and I, and the energy was still fighting. It was still fighting. So some people probably heard this story before, but I just said, stop. And I stopped it. And I wanted to heal her because it was about samurai and death and stuff like that. And that's not where she was at all. So I ended up healing myself. And, but what happened is when I went back, I would go up these gates. So the Japanese have these gates, and they're kind of orangish or reddish. So you're going up the path stops, and you have to go through like an arch. So when I go through the arch, all of a sudden I got, is there something here or what? And I kept going, and I went to another arch, and all of a sudden I could feel it. It's like it wants respect. Okay. So it wants respect. So when I talk about beings or entities or energies, um, wanting respect is not the worst thing that they could do, right? They're like, this is Japanese. Everybody works on honor and respect. So I'm like, all right. And all right, I honor you. It's like okay, you got one of these. So I stop and I do it, but then I would feel it more and more. And as I started doing this more and more up the mountain and coming down, I could feel inside me like when I'd come down at a certain gate. But what was happening was, remember I said I did the letting go of the samurai stuff, and then I went back. So number one, I got to that mountain with this woman. I saw the samurai stuff. Another thing happened was these big trees that they have out here. They're called God trees, and they have the spirit. And I see the energy come in from the universe and the spirit. And she said some people believe there's a spirit in these trees, and I thought, well, I don't think so. And then my bottle of water was knocked out of my hand. So I'm like, okay, that's how I started. I was like, okay, all right,
I believe you.
I gotcha. Then I started doing the gates thing, right? So I was doing the gates thing, and I'd go up and down the mountain. And then about a week before I left there, I was with another woman. We were walking down a path, and I had been with her for probably a week, and she was there doing the same thing I was doing. These are people I meet on the mountain, and they're doing the same thing. But she got an attunement so I got an attunement on the path. So all of a sudden I stopped to look at something, and I could feel the attunement, and my energy went up. And I said, "Did this stop? Did you feel that?" And she said, "No." And then all of a sudden she's like, she went through it, and that was it. So by the time I left there, my energy was a lot higher, and so the gate connected me. It's like a being, and they're very, very nice beings. The energy is very good, because I'm very careful about the energies. And that's what I call gates, like gates that are being shown on Earth. So in Jasper, I'll just say Jasper again, like when you go there, you might feel something. And you grew up close to there, right?
Yeah, yeah. Very, well, I grew up in Jasper, and where I was talking about Medicine Lake is like a 20 miles or 40K up the road.
Yeah. So a gate, what happens is you go to that gate, and the being there, the energy there, which is probably your own energy, I'll say, but uh can't prove it, um, is going to wire you, connect you, give you access to guides as much as the capacity of your nervous system allows. And when you go back a few years later, or whatever it is, and you connect with that energy, it's going to do more. It's going to do more. It's going to do more. So I go to different places, and I went I went I did the yoga, but then I went to Qigong master, and and uh and then she told me go see the Buddha relics. Those are all things that have transmission that you connect very high. And then I went to India, and I was going to go to so I was in Rishikesh, and I did my yoga stuff there, and my energy went up just because I'm eating cleaner too. But I also, like, all along the path, my uh my nervous system was expanding capacity. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not telling everybody this is what you have to do, but I'm showing you how I did it. Okay. So uh, I think it's exciting stuff. It feels better. Life gets better. I don't have to protect myself like I used to do. I still do. I'm not going to say I don't, but not very often anymore. And the energies, the frequency is higher. I can recover faster because all this, because I gave myself permission. I overrode my fight flight part, and I gave myself permission. Do you have something you want to say, Sandra?
Yeah, you just said something really important that I want to highlight. Well, the whole thing has been just super magical already. I want to say two things. One is that I agree with you that spiritual gates are likely your energy, because when I went to Sedona, I found a sign in a outside store that literally said, "This is an energy vortex." And so
Ah,
I stood under that sign, and it was like I closed my eyes and I felt this energy, and I was like, "Oh, that's the energy I've been feeling all along." And that's an energy
yeah,
vortex. So it's really was recognizing, first of all, that I am what it is, right? I am that I am. And then also to you just said something about protection. And I love that. I'm the same way. I really stepped into the energy right from the beginning that I didn't necessarily ever need protection. I wasn't raised in a society that has all these things that are evil coming in, et cetera, et cetera. And so sometimes where we're raised has a huge impact on what we believe we need as regards to protection and stuff. And so I wasn't raised that way, so I didn't actually ever need protection in my way of thinking. What I did do, though, was set things up so that it was always for the highest good, for the most benevolent reasons, and the greatest good of all. And that was the beautiful umbrella piece that is my protection if somebody was looking for protection. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear, right? Like everybody's gonna have a different a little bit different what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So I certainly agree with that. Um I see Barbara, she wrote, do you want to read it or just
Go
playing
ahead.
with the words? Yeah, just playing with the word stop. That seemed to come up a lot in Al's discussion. Stop and take notice. Sense the omnipotent power. Omnipotent. It's my French Canadian. I don't know. That's the best. That's the best I could say for those who are listening and not watching. Omnipotent. Anyways, I can't say
Omnipotent.
it. Thank you.
I was gonna the first word that came up, but I changed it. It was overwhelming, and I didn't want it. I didn't feel it was a sense of overwhelming, but it is a
No.
omnipotent. Just means larger than you. You know, I'm not sure if it has a religious connotation as or if that's just anyway. I don't mean to attach any religious connotation to it at all. It's just that awesome, but awesome is an A. So
No, I'm just to go off on a little bit of a tangent with that word, omni. I say omnipotent. I love the way that you guys are pronouncing it too. It's just like shaman and shaman. There's different pronunciations. This omnipotent is like having flower essence. I know I have one that's super watered down, and I have one that's on omnipotent. That it's way more dense. It's got way more of the flower essence in it. That's how I would describe that. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, Barb. Yeah.
intensity, increased intensity,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, Al, where are we headed now? I'm just really loving the energy of what you're throwing out here.
Okay. I um I'm trying not to make it like I hope it's okay what I'm saying. I'm trying to say it not too quickly, but I'll just say so we're talking about gates. The besides showing up, it's a time spent. The time spent there. Because if you're there, that energy will clean you out. It will wire you. It'll bring in connections and it knows when you're leaving. So I want people to know what the criteria is for this to happen for you. And uh, the criteria is for you to give yourself permission. That's it. It starts with that. So 35 years ago, I always tell people I would have been the same person going through. Let's say I would have gone to Stonehenge, but I would have had a 6 pack of beer. Okay. And they would have wired me according to my capacity. They would have just get like, we're gonna do this. This is all we can give you, Al, because you're still drinking beer. And here's your capacity and this will help you get awareness or awakening, right? It's a process. Um, yeah, it's the capacity, personal capacity, it's the nervous system's capacity to hold it. And if the being, and I'll say if the being, so I'll say if you're following your heart and those pings telling you where to go are coming from part of you at higher dimensions, and they're calling to you. And they're saying, "Hey, uh, it's Al saying to Al, Al, say it's my soul, but Al, uh, you need to go over here and do this." And I'll be like, "I think I need to go over here and do this," but I know it's part of me saying it, and a part of me at a higher level is saying it. So that's how I follow my path. That is like uh and the gates are part of that too, right? They're calling to you. It's a part of yourself calling to you. It doesn't mean you need to go there. You could maybe fix it or address it before instead of going.
Let's
Um,
just speak. Let's just speak to that for
yeah,
a second here, Al.
yeah.
Um, and I'm going to use my what happened yesterday for me, and I mentioned it already today in one of the offerings of the one of the guest speakers. And this is one of those examples. This could be true life things that are happening. Like you get like, for instance, for me is that um, I was in the middle of a life change and I thought I was going to go in a very specific direction with what my next career step was going to be. In fact, I was actually looking up first aid and becoming a practitioner in that manner, like going to be an EMR, EMT, et cetera, et cetera. And on the computer, I actually went to go fill out the form and another page popped up entirely and it was actually about a healing energy course instead. That
Mhm.
is one of those spiritual gates that will wakes that opens and you can pay attention to it and do it or not do it. My life would have been entirely different if I'd have gone the emergency medical responder or technician compared to what I am doing now, right? And then too, so that's a practical in life material type of example, real life example. The other example I want to use is that yesterday, that ember and the egg and the bloodstone crystal that I have. That was a huge thing for me in that guest speaker's presentation. What I got from her presentation, and I could just totally ignore that, or I could explore it. If I explore it, it's wide open what this gate could provide with regards to a new dragon coming in for me, how the bloodstone crystal specifically is working with me in the energy of dragons, and it just goes on and on from there, or I could ignore it. I just wanted to bring up those examples as well as there's real life examples and there are spiritual examples or spiritual gates, I guess I should say. Thank you for letting me share that.
No, it's good because you actually do. Uh, I guess they're not called gates, right? We kind of can go. I give myself permission to do this or not to do it, or I block myself from doing it. It's kind of a gate, but it's not. Technically, it's a gate. Like it's part of our universe. So we're actually taking our life force energy. If something is like, let's say I have to protect myself, I take my life force energy and I put a barrier or whatever it is. I'm using my life force energy. And that's what I want people to see this. My universe, if I have my universe, I create my universe, I cord people, they cord me. That is not how we are made. Like it's our universe. And it's instead of cording heart to heart or chakra to chakra, our energy should flow to source and back. It should flow that way. However it flows, whether it's down, up, uh, but if we have pain, we have trauma, uh, and this is, uh, I'll just say, if I had trauma, then when that happened, I would try to deal with it the best I could. And it was usually the way would be like, I just don't want it to hurt right now. I don't want to hurt it anymore. I don't want it to hurt anymore. I don't want it to hurt. So my soul or whatever part of me takes, okay, we're gonna move it over there. And then it stays there, but my energy is just keeping it there still. My energy is keeping it there, and that's my universe. So people could walk through my pain and all of a sudden it gets triggered. I'm like, why is my pain? Because they're walking through my universe, which is maybe 10 feet in front of me, 20, 30 feet, whatever it is. I have all these things wired up and my life force energy is limited. It is limited. It's one thing is like, is it truly limited? Well, right now it seems like it is. Now, that doesn't mean I cannot expand and grow forever. I'm just saying the energy I have in my body at this moment is restricted by all these things I'm trying to manage and control. And um, that's why I said my universe or your universe. So I'm going to get into the things that actually uh allowed me to kind of clear up a lot of my universe. I still have it, right? I'm not finished. Uh uh but um okay, I talk about transmission. So what is transmission? Transmission is, so you got light language, there was a transmission. There's a transmission happening. When you talk with Sandra, there's a transmission. You might not notice it, but there is when you go, "Oh, I got it." You didn't have to say anything, and I just got it. Like there's a transmission. That is what I followed. For me, the transmissions, um, and I learned that by following the light. So the transmissions of certain beings, where I would listen to them so much when I'm listening that it knocks me out because I get so tired and I'm out. Something happened at a high level. I don't even know what it is. So I listened to it again. I'd listen to it again and I'd listen to it again over and over and over until I could stay awake. And I'm still not there. But that has wired me at a higher level. So I'll just say this before you say something, Sandra. When we are working in a 3D world, let's say we're working here, but there's another story right above it happening spiritually, etherically, and there's another one happening, and then there's another one happening, and if you meet someone who's still healing with their ego part at that specific time and not transmission, they're going to heal you at the level they can. But if you have the transmission at a very high level, uh, then it will heal you at a very high level without talking anymore. It will heal you. Just the energy has the intelligence to do it. And I've been following that for years. That's why I went to did these things in Asia. I'm following that energy, but it's like the transmission. So I'd say there's different levels of transmission. The clearer it is, the higher it is, and um, the bigger the shift for someone. Like you've heard when I say positively charge my energy body, that is a connection to high source and is a transmission too. Um, so no matter what I'm doing, I always try to do a healing with it. So like 25 years ago, I got into the healing and I had my little children, and every night I would heal them and heal myself. And whether they're going through something in school or me, I'd always do the healing at the same time. But the more I could find the higher transmission, the faster I would heal. Because if I'm healing at, let's say, 3 levels up, and there's 50 levels, healing at 3 levels up, or let's say it's a really good healer, you're healing at 20 levels up, but there's like really 50. Well, you're still going to play that story out at the level that you've healed until you've uh that's what I'm saying. And your abundance is restricted at that level. Does that make sense?
It does because like another way, like what I'm hearing you say is there's a reason why things come back around to you. The lesson comes back around to you. Sometimes it's because you actually still are in the thick of it and there's work to do with that lesson, or it's the reminder and you can then recognize the little bits that are still there versus being in the thick of it, or it's I've actually learned this. I can consciously decide now I'm done with that and move forward. I'm really hearing that in what you say.
Once you embody it, that's it.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. You embodied it and pushed out whatever was there. And you're like, this is in charge. So your nervous system, you're in charge of your nervous system, but it gets tough your nervous system is quick. You're gonna get tired, right? It's like I'm eating really well for 2 months, and all of a sudden I tell someone I'm eating really well, and then all of a sudden I'm not. My nervous system won again. It's like, okay, it's not safe for people to see you if you're looking good, Al. It's not safe. Whatever my nervous system, whatever it concluded. whatever it concluded, it'll keep me at my baseline. Keep me at my baseline. Um,
So how do you move your baseline? Or can you move your baseline?
well, okay, so uh I was 20 years old. I'd taken this course, this kind of psychological assessment, and the guy said, uh I said, you know what? All the things you guys assess me with, I don't do those things. And he looked at it for a while and he said, well, he goes, no one's ever like, no one changes. No one changes. It's impossible. And I said, well, I sit there. I said, when I'm in a meeting, I take a step back and I observe everyone, right? So how do you do it? Transmission. I tell you, it's transmission. Give yourself permission, follow the energy, and if so, let's say you're not taking the transmission at the highest level that you can, and you know what? Take what you get at the highest level. You will learn very quickly because even like I had friends who were really good healers, but we were like, uh, after a while, I had healed this stuff from my dark night of the soul stuff, and then we're doing this in the last couple of years, and I'm trying to explain to them, and they cannot um integrate it yet. They cannot embody it. So they didn't understand. And eventually just the whole relationship uh stopped. Like, but as soon as it stopped, I just laid down and I was like this, and that was last year, and I felt really bad. And then my energy body went up. Like it went up. It's like it's like I stopped supporting, they stopped supporting me, I stopped supporting them. And it was for me to like the story, there's different stories. I stopped playing that story. I could go back and play it again. I'm still tempted to sometimes, but I don't have to. And I know that the more I speak this out and the more I do it, um, that the energy body goes up. So I guess that's the whole point is like if you transmission transmission helps you heal quickly. You're not going to have transmission around you at all time as long as you keep going in the right direction. But those pings in your heart, in your soul, are telling you where to go to get that. Expect it when you get there. Expect it. That's what I do. This is going to be the best for me and for everyone involved. This is like going to work out perfectly. It always works out perfectly. I just expect it. Um, I'll just see what
It's me just grabbing words that you've said there. I'm loving this, and I'm realizing as we speak a couple different things. I want to highlight your gift in your gift giveaway. It's in the chat there now for everybody. And that's aligning your nervous system for abundance in less than 5 minutes. I meant to reach out to you, and I don't know that I did, and I can't remember exactly what happened because remember I alluded to at the beginning of this, I alluded to I did yours and I felt really calm. I actually remember that I went in and did it, and then something happened right after it that was just like, I just did this, your align your nervous system for abundance. I just did that, and immediately after whatever it was that I was thinking about actually occurred. Like it was just like boom, boom, boom. So it can be that quick,
yes,
right?
yes. And some people won't notice anything and some people will. And that's okay. Like it's doing. So here's the thing is another thing is momentum. How to have momentum. Because if you're stuck, your nervous system, if you're like trying to start a business, if you're trying to bring money, if you're trying to write a book, if you're trying to get clients, if you're just trying to deal with bad relationships or whatever it is, and you can't sit there and figure out in your head, like have time to go like, what do I want to improve in my life? That is your nervous system. And it's like working with all these stored memories. Like if you're learning to drive, at first you're like, oh yes, I have to move the mirror. I got to do this. I got to do that. But once you know how to drive, you just automatically do it. Turn the knob here, that put the key in. And that's what your nervous system does for you. It does all that, but it's on automatic. So you want to take it off automatic, get the transmission, that'll help you. Do the healing, clean up your universe. Your universe is using your life force energy. It is literally, if you're wondering why your gut's hurting or I don't know, whatever part of your body doesn't feel good, you start following the path that I don't know, I'm not trying to send everybody to Japan or whatever. You got to tune in, and it's not going to go away overnight, and it might, but I'm not telling you it will. Like some things are going away. I get the healing every uh, every few weeks, every few months for a certain area, based on something that I just happened in my life. Um, okay, so this just I went. I had my two children. This like 3 years ago. My daughter was in a she was at a protest where they were in Nova Scotia, and she got beaten up very badly by the police. And then my son got in a huge accident. And then I had so much stress, I started seeing these like they're like teardrops going up or bubbles of air, and I see that with distress. So I would go to and then I would see like my eyesight was changing. I would see like a line or something in my eye, and I would go to the clinic, to the hospital. So it's a hospital that's converted like a specialist hospital. I would go there, and they would look at it and they're like, "Oh, you're fine. You're just getting older. Just your new normal. Thank you. All right." So I go back, and it happens again. And sometimes I didn't even go anymore. But then this one time I went, and I'm sitting there in the chair, and the nurse looked me over, took the stuff from me, to see like my blood pressure and all this stuff, and looked in my eye. And then she said, "The doctor will be with you." So the doctor, like while the doctor's gone for 20 minutes, as soon as she leaves, my guides are like talking to other guides, and they're getting like the solution to my problem, and they're healing me on the spot. And I'm like, really? Did we have to come here? Like I could have done this at home. What are you guys doing? And I argue with my guy, what is, and they're like, you know what? This doctor is healed enough, and we had to get here to the doctor. And that's why we're here, and you're doing it now. Like I'm okay now. But I had to go through this story, and I had to go back to the doctor. So I do, like I have a lot of if I couldn't hold it in, I'd be one of those people walking on the street talking to myself out loud. But like now, like I'm embodied and integrate a lot of that stuff, and I just like it's like I I find it interesting that they don't tell me what's happening, and I'm just going through the motions sometimes. I'm like, all right. They're like, I'm not worried anymore. It's always worked out. It's been scary a lot of times, but I follow
I
my
want to
soul.
say I
Yeah.
really want to say two things here, Al. One is I really recognize, and I'm unsure if the rest of the audience does. I believe there's probably a few of them caught this. You had to be in a place where you would be receptive to the healing, whether it was from the doctor or your guides. And it was your
Yeah.
guides that came in at that time because you were now in this place. And it was a physical location that put you into the mental location, emotional location. I love the energy of that. That was super powerful. Um,
I never,
also,
yeah.
do you want to, do you have something to say? Yeah, because
I was
I
just gonna
got something.
say
Go ahead.
it's true. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Also, too, I want to go all the way back to you opened with I Walk 500 Miles. Love, love, love that song. The fact that you were literally talking about claiming who you were and that you went to this show hoping to get tickets for it, sitting in the car, and somebody that came out and gave you free tickets when they were definitely weren't free. They were a paid entrance into this. And that the group was called Pro Claimers.
Okay, yeah. There you go.
Now you caught that, right?
Well, yeah, because someone wrote it, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
like I,
But when you hear the word pro, like you're doing something for you. You put yourself into the position to be open for that.
yeah, and I was like, just like one of the worst times with right before my wife, right before she left, but I went back and I invited, I said, we're going to the bar, right? We're going to listen to this. And my friends came, uh, and they're like, tell us again how you got those tickets. Tell us again, like, how do you do this? How do you do this? But, um, because I took action.
Yeah.
I went there. I had to go there. I had to go to doctors. I've been many times at the doctor's office with children, whatever, or for myself. And there's like the people in the waiting room, like all of a sudden my parts are talking. They're like, "All right, I've been holding on to this for you. Here you go." And there's it's like there's stuff going back and forth. Whatever I had to do, whatever they had to do. Um, so even if the doctor's not spiritual, there's spiritual stuff. Like maybe they're not spiritual at this moment, but that doesn't mean you won't get the healing part that you need. Um, so one thing you talked about was um, the that 5 minute video. So the 5 minute video, it's where I'm shifting, but also is like it's turning on your energy system. That's why I get the tapping done. And it takes away from me holding space. It takes away from me. I still hold space, but it takes away from me holding space like I did and from me getting the energy. And it allows people um, to to start moving that stagnant energy within them. And then it raises a vibration. And then we put that statement at a high level. Instead of that statement like I'm worthless, put the statement at a high level like this is going to happen. This is like whatever it is, you're putting the decision at the high level. That is what that is doing. That's how I help have momentum today. And I'll just say when I first started doing this, I was so tired with my teacher the first a couple months. And then after about 8 months, um, and then I didn't have to do it every day, but after about 8 months, now I'm okay. I'm okay. I could bring up my energy very quickly. It's been a shift. Like you do it not like you're riding your bicycle and your energy is like cycling through you. Yeah, that's what I want to say with that. It's momentum, right? That's another thing, the transmission, the momentum, take an action, your vision, what do you want? What is your soul telling you? Uh uh those are getting your nervous system to work for you.
I love this.
Okay.
Al, this has been really, really remarkable. Just wanted to let everybody know in the chat that the gift giveaway of his is there, the of Al's is there. Align your nervous system for abundance in less than 5 minutes. That's right there, the link straight to it. And if you're interested in seeing what he has to offer with regards to the VIP, it's the Wealth Frequency VIP Intensive. That's a group call that's going to be off the chart in my mind. And there's access to the pay link through that. You won't be paying when you click this link. It actually takes you to a sheet that shows you a bunch of the stuff, what's coming up on the VIP. And if you are Canadian and you click on your way through there, you will come to a PayPal form. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the PayPal form, because it's in US, if you scroll down to the bottom, it actually has a Canadian link that you copy and paste so that you are on par. Um, Al, any final words for the group, for the listeners?
Yeah, I'm just going to say for the VIP, well, because you mentioned that this is about your internal money manager. This is like your nervous system. We're shifting your nervous system, and we're learning to say this money manager. So your mind is like you have your conscious, unconscious mind, but it's all a bunch of energy, and we're talking to it, and it's telling us because it's manifesting for us at all time while we're sleeping, everything. It's always answering like this. So you're like, okay, I want you to start giving better answers. We're going to promote the internal money manager who's sitting in the basement, not a very happy employee, not happy at all, knows all the things we've done wrong, but nobody's listening to that employee, and we're going to promote it along with your heart of hearts and your nervous system, and they're going to start talking with each other more. So I am not going to talk as much as I did today for this 1.5 hour session. I'm going to do the clearing. I'm going to help you guys connect. It is going to be very amazing, I think, very beautiful. But like if you're in the VIP, I'm in the VIP. I'm going. I know Sandra's at least signed up. So yeah, like listen to the recording if you're not there. If you're there, great. And it's taking you farther along your journey. That's all, like that's what everybody's doing here. So I'm just moving along the financial path right now. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you everyone who's here and whoever's listening later. And I'm going to read through the comments a
For
little bit
sure.
more after.
Thank you so much, Al. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you for
Thank you.
being
I'm
here.
happy to be here.
Everybody, that was absolutely incredible. I imagine that, like Al said at one point, that there's vibration, there's frequency, there is activations occurring even in the voice. And when I sit in the space with Al, I really can feel that activating happening. And I hope that you guys each felt something as well in that. Very, very powerful. Lots of different energy in there, meaning so many golden nuggets to move away with.